Good morning. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on a Saturday morning. On behalf of Indian School of Commerce, it's my privilege to invite the panelists, alumni, students, and parents to the webinar on the topic, Nurturing Entrepreneurial Skills Through Global Finance Programs. Welcome to our third webinar series of the academic year 21-22 on this Knowledge Series platform. Indian School of Commerce imparts education of international standards through a holistic approach to meet the demands of evolving finance profession. The integrated global dual bachelor's and master's degree programs in international business and finance, validated by the University of West of Scotland, caters to the transforming education and employment habitat. I am Bindu Menon, Manager, Student Relations and Placement at Indian School of Commerce, and it is my pleasure to be a moderator for this session. In the panel today, we have with us Mr. Krishna Kumar, who is the CEO of Green Pepper Consulting, Mr. Jittu Koshi, who is the CFO of Vivarthana Ventures India Private Limited. We have with us our alumni team, the pillars of Arivu Plus online learning platform, represented by the partners Mohammad Nazim, Sharjaz Becker, Mohammad Shifas, and Shafin Muzammil. And we have about 500 students and parents have joined as participants. Welcome all. Studies on Stanford Professor Walter Mischel's Marshmallow Experiment found that the children who were willing to delay gratification and waited to receive the second marshmallow ended up having higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, better responses to stress, better social skills as reported by the parents, and generally better scores in a range of other life measures. The experiments on the power of delayed gratification prove that the ability to delay gratification is critical for success in life, as success usually comes down to choosing the pain of discipline over the ease of distraction. And that's exactly what delayed gratification is all about. We have 4 of our successful alumni who restrained themselves without giving in for temptation and waited to create something really big, and they have done it. They have did it. Today's session is on exploring entrepreneurial career paths to get to know the skills and competencies, the role of finance in this domain, steps to build your business acumen, learn best practices, and to get prepared for a challenging entrepreneurial career. Over to the speaker slot, please. May I invite Mr. Krishna Kumar, the CEO of Green Pepper Consulting, to speak on the topic, Future Entrepreneurial Skills to Succeed. Mr. Krishna Kumar is a co-founder and CEO of Green Pepper, who believes in something we all love, to do what you enjoy what you do. He has done 200 plus workshops on leadership, innovation, and growth. As an entrepreneur for the last 12 years, he helped 200 plus companies to build strong teams through hiring and training. His mission is to tell people on how to do things better through extracting insights from the experts, books, and travel. He was speaker at Jerusalem Leaders Summit in 2016 on why India matters. He's a widely recognized consulting expert in talent management, digital innovation, and business strategy. Mr. Krishna Kumar, over to you, please.
Hey, thank you, Bindu, for the introduction, and good to see you all today. In the next, say, like 10 minutes or so, I want to share with you a quick journey of, myself and what I learned during this process, and then we can open to the discussion. And we have Jittu also here, who will be adding a lot of interesting insights into the whole thing. So first of all, welcome to you all. We are living in very, very interesting times, as far as I know, because I've been working for last 15 years. I've never seen so much of dynamism in the world as we see right now. So we don't have to worry about what is happening in the world in terms of the health crisis or anything. This is the best time to be in. This is the best time to live. This is the best time to look at possibilities and opportunities and, explore our best potential. That much I believe, right? So I believed always that, in fact, at the age of 26, I decided to start my own, after some 4 or 5 years of working with some companies. What I can tell you is that the entire journey of 15 years has taught me probably 10x more than what I would have learned in companies. So I am a direct ambassador of entrepreneurship. So I would like to share with you that the pain, the struggle, the frustration, the exhaustion, or sometimes even self-doubt which you have while you do something on your own is a fuel for you to do something awesome, right? So whenever we come up with an obstacle, whenever we come up with a bottleneck, whenever we come up with a struggle, and whenever we're not able to sleep properly, I mean, that is an indication that you are growing in some way or other, right? It's not an indication that you have a problem. It's an indication that you are growing somewhere, right? So, in fact, when I started the business and 2 years into line, the 2008 thing happened, right? The economic recession happened. The entire businesses were like, facing a big problem. I was worried, like, did I do it wrong? And all my people who were, my contemporaries, my peers were doing really well in their careers. And I felt that I'm alone and I did a wrong thing by getting into the business. So that was a moment, which reflected, helped me to think that, okay, this is a decision which you have to live by, right? This is not something which you can go back and say, oh, let me go and escape into something. This is an irreversible, important life decision, right? So with that thought, I approached one of my mentors and he asked me one question. He asked me, how do you feel during the day, right? So I said, I feel really terrified during the day. I feel chaotic during the day, right? So he said one thing. He said, if you feel chaotic during the day, that means you're growing, right? And after meeting him, I came back and I was thinking about it. Like, what does chaos mean, right, to me? So chaos means that you're not able to figure out everything which you're doing, right? The results of it, the consequences of it, right? You only can assume certain things. You can only bet on certain things. You can only sometimes, think about the probability of it happening. There is no assurance. There is no certainty, right? So in entrepreneurship, it's all about probability, right? And how more probable you are to do something, how more certain you can make something through skilling, through better calculation, through better judgment, through better decision making, through better persuasion, through better storytelling. That's where the whole game is. Like, so entrepreneurship is not just about luck. It is also a lot about skill building. That's what I learned about it. So earlier, I used to, my childhood has been mostly very linear and very mediocre. We lived in a very middle class family, and no one in my family did business so far. And somebody trying to do business failed 3-4 times. And so the entire notion of doing a business was like, you're bound to fail, right? So there was so much of anxiety. There was so much of panic around if someone is trying to start on their own. In fact, before I started my entrepreneurial journey, I was working with some really good companies, including Airtel, including the world's largest consulting firm called Randstad Group, which is the flexi staffing. So all these things really, gave a hope to people that this guy is going to, ride the corporate ladder, earn a lot of money in terms of, things. And they never thought there is an opportunity for you to do something on your own, make your own kind of a niche, a monopoly which nobody can enter, right? So that's a niche which I think everyone can build at this point in time. And I mean, my story is a little old, but I can share with you the new stories are much, much, much more exciting, considering the internet as a big opportunity, considering, the products as an opportunity. Earlier, we were, giving services most of the time. We used to give services and get a fee. So the services game is completely different. But now the biggest opportunity for people is like the product, right? You can build a product, literally a product. You can build a product on your own, a property or a digital property, which can actually get you, income, right? So that's the huge opportunity we have right now. So the second fight, which as an entrepreneur, which we may have to do always, is to fight with our own biases. Because when I say biases, these are uh, very dangerous things in our life. Like when it comes to biases, what are biases? Biases are basically thoughts which are formed over a period of time about money, about success, about failure, about teamwork, about things which really matter in the entrepreneurial journey, right? So one of the things which every entrepreneur is fighting is like a confirmation bias. Like, for example, if you are into healthcare, like you're building a healthcare app, right? You have done a lot of work on healthcare app. You wanted to know about how hospitals work, and you've done a lot of research on that. But ultimately, when a new information comes and then challenges the thought you have, you will reject that thought. Right? You completely reject that new thought which is coming in. Why? Because if you already spent a lot of time into building this. This is also probably, Jitu will agree, this is also called the sunk cost fallacy, wherein you've invested your time into something for 1 or 2 years. There is a thought, it's like an emotional investment also, right? It's not just about the money, it's also about the emotions. You've invested that and you feel, and you always try to justify what you've done, even though the project is not going to really help you, right? So sometimes you have to understand this biasness. It's like a sunk cost fallacy. That is, the cost is already sunk. You can't do anything about it. You just have to write it down. Like in accounting, you say certain things which you can't get it back, right? So you have to write it down. So the writing off doesn't happen in your mind. It can happen in the book, right? But when you write it off in your mind and go to the next project, that's when you really become an entrepreneur. So I had this problem whenever I started a new project. I was so passionate about it. I was feeling that I have put my heart into it. And if it fails, I'll go back and do it again so that, we try to, bounce it back. But the point is, logically, it doesn't really help you. Sometimes you have to cut it and move on with a new project. And people with that skill has made it big. So that's why, we need to have clear milestones when you start a new business. So I've seen, maybe I'm not the right person to talk about that. I've seen entrepreneurs who do that very clearly. They say, if I'm not achieving this thing in 1 year, this is not the model I want to follow. So very clear, they don't drag things, right? So there are only two ways. Like in a Chinese proverb, they say, let go or let be dragged by it. You either can actually let go of it, it will free you, or you'll be dragged by it. So it's a choice between letting go and letting dragged by it. So entrepreneurs have this, sometimes the moments of tough decision making to be done. Sometimes you have to be doing it alone. Sometimes you can do it with your team. You have co-founding team who is like whom you are resonating so well. These are very, very important things because a co-founding team is really good. You're too lucky in this world because I've seen many talented entrepreneurs finding it very difficult to get good co-founders. So if you have, good friends, or I don't say friends, but people who can really, work with you on that project. You don't have to go and have beer with them, on a Friday night, but you can work with them clearly and achieve results, right? So, and also share your anxieties, share your, priorities with them. So those are the people whom we should never, take for granted, because those are the people who help you to build your, business. So the third thing which I want to share with you is like betting, how to spot opportunities and how to bet on it. Many times, when you look around, when you read news, most of the startup entrepreneurs read your story, they keep track on what is happening in the startup world, what are the new ideas which are emerging. Most of the ideas are tech-based ideas which get immediate attention because of the scalability. So why tech ideas are big? Because it's easy to scale, right? Whereas non-tech ideas requires more investment than tech ideas probably to build and also to scale. So the reason why most of the investors are excited about technology ideas because it's easy to scale. But when I say easy to scale, that's a very different thing because it's not easy to scale unless you learn how to scale that, right? So how do you spot opportunities, right? The one way of spotting opportunities is to know like where people are moving to, where are the smartest people moving to, what are they doing, right? Talking to them, networking, building relationships with people, getting mentoring, all those things will open your eyes, right? Because the moment you try to close your, doors and windows, no new ideas will come up, right? So it's always good to, sometimes, you don't get answers for what you wanted to know, but you get a new perspective, right? So not all the time you need to get answers or contacts or help or support. Sometimes a new perspective is enough for us to, drive us forward, right? So sometimes you're really stuck somewhere and you don't know what to do, what is the next step, how do we go about it? That time, perspective acts as a trigger to go to the next step. That is enough, and you can get it from anywhere. I've got this perspective from people whom I never thought I would get it from. They are like very ordinary. They don't know about the business, but they give you the perspective which is required for you to take the next step. The third thing is, of course, highlighting your unique strengths, because most of the time we work around market opportunities, right? What is a market opportunity? Go behind it. But you don't try to align that market opportunity with you as a person, because you as a person is a very unique, very clear value proposition, right? It's not somebody else. Like, you are not somebody else. You have something. You have a childhood on your own. You have a parenting, which is very unique. You have gathered certain skills which are very unique. Your experiences are very unique. Your friends are very, are very unique. So there is a very unique kind of model which you as a person who can offer this world. And aligning that with the market would be a better strategy than going and finding out what is best for the market, what is going around in the market. Let me go and do it, right? So that is one thing which always I feel, because most of the entrepreneurs whom I talk to share the same thing. They say they all started chasing the market opportunities and then found out that they are not fit enough for it. There are two ways of looking at it. If you feel market is what you want, chase the market, but you need to change yourself. Like, you need to dynamically change yourself to adjust to the market, right? So for which you need new skill building. Probably you have to move to a new city. Sometimes you have to move to a new team, because your existing team probably may not help you to go to the next level, right? Or your existing level of network might not help you to get there. So many people I know in the last 10-15 years have taken conscious decisions to move to a new city. And moving to a new city is psychologically very, very difficult, right? Because you are losing all your connections. Of course, you have internet and phone and everything, but you still have no people around you whom you always had the support from, right? You are dealing with a new set of people, trusting new people, building relationship with new people. All these things are very difficult in the initial stages. But I can tell you, people who have taken those decisions, moving to a new city, moving to a new circle, moving to a new model, moving to a new team, have benefited from that move, because they build that muscle. It's like building the muscle, right? Why do you go to the gym? Because you want to build the muscle, the body mass and everything. Similarly, you build a muscle to work in a dynamic environment. So the philosopher Nassim Nicholas Taleb says this word, the quality called anti-fragile, right? What is fragile? Something happens, you are affected by it. Pandemic happens, you are depressed. Somebody talks about you on your back, and he's bad. We feel worried about for many days, right? Somebody puts a bad comment on social media, you are really worried for the whole day. You would have got 100 good comments, but one comment is enough for you to destroy that mood, right? So fragility means you are affected by everything or other. Whereas Nassim Nicholas Taleb says the biggest quality of an entrepreneur is anti-fragile. That means many obstacles. It's like there is a sea creature called Hydra. So what happens when you try to cut the Hydra? Its tail. it becomes a double, right? It bounces back its organism and then comes out with a, life. I mean, if you try to, kill it, it will grow faster, right? So an entrepreneur essentially should be a person with a mindset like an anti-fragile guy who should be ready for that. So why I'm sharing this is I've learned this with so many years now. I think you have the opportunity to learn it faster because you have the resources, you have the fantastic people around you whom you can access to. I've seen LinkedIn as the best tool which you should use more and more, because I started believing in LinkedIn more and more because over the last 2-3 years I've met the fantastic people on earth, from LinkedIn. Just being there, just being acknowledging their content, just connecting with people without any expectation, right? So most of the time, in LinkedIn, you try to connect and have the human to human connect, right? Rather than having a B2B, B2C kind of. I mean, there is no B2B, B2C. There's only human to human connect. Be genuinely interested in people; they will love you for that. Acknowledge people, appreciate people, and I mean that's the key thing which we can do as an entrepreneur. And relationship building will be like a major thing which will help you in your entrepreneurial journey. The fourth thing that will be my final point, because I only have 10 minutes. So one is about the telling the story. You might be good coders, tool makers, property builders, or fantastic engineering people, chartered accountants, engineers. I mean, you might be highly skilled in your domain. But what I can share with you is that telling your story compellingly to the audiences is an important skill. So as an entrepreneur, if you can learn that skill early in life, so I know that most of you are in your 20s. If you can learn that skill, I mean, you don't have to learn the skill overnight. You can learn the skill over a period of can take your time, but always keep your focus on learning that storytelling skills. I mean, I can guarantee you that you will, you can thank me later, maybe a couple of years later, about this, right? This is the most important thing which will take you to the next level, right? I'm not saying domain skills are not important. Domain skills are super important. Specialized knowledge is important. Specialized skills are important, but combine it with storytelling. So the other day I was talking to Jitu. He's a fantastic chartered accountant. He's a guy with numbers, but he also believes in stories. He also believes in impact, right? The reason why he's here today. So over to you, Jitu. All the best to you. We can catch up on the question and answer session possibly, after this.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna Kumar. I would say we missed a presentation because so much of information to share, but they'll give the presentation would have given the visual effect. The points which you started with saying that today is the best day, which all of us, I think we need to, because tomorrow we really do not know. So today is the best day to do everything. And then people are, when a lot of people are talking about the things which really went wrong during the pandemic days, I am seeing a number of people talking about the benefits of what has actually life has gotten during this pandemic. I mean, people who really have become more creative in making use of this time which has been given to them. That is one thing. The second thing is that we were talking about the disruption, which really helps an entrepreneur, which is really yes, because unless and until life gives us or shows us something new, we won't be able to think. It happens right from the day we start in the morning. We go through a number of disruptions in our life, and then we take the different route every day to achieve something new. And then once we do that, we're really happy saying that yes, I haven't thought about this. I mean, so disruption paves way for that. And then you were talking about the probability, which I actually love this quote from The Pursuit of Happiness, beautifully explained the probability and the possibility as in, and then when you said that the entrepreneurship is all about probability, yes, moving forward, I would say that is the way to go. And then let go, being experienced in a spiritual word, we say letting go is the most difficult task, wherein, instead of latching onto something and then when you feel that happiness, or rather, sense of achieving something, when you let go of things which you have been holding on to, and which paves way for new things, for us to move ahead and explore things which we need to see in life. And then you were talking about not getting bogged down, in the sense like we should all prepare ourselves wherein we don't get elated by something really happening in our life, or get bogged down by things which go wrong in our life. I would say pragmatism is a word for every entrepreneur moving ahead, because every day will show us both sides of the coin. So I would say beautifully said. And then I would say 10 minutes wasn't enough for the budding entrepreneurs to hear it from you. And then definitely, in a future sessions, we'll, and I think they'll be benefited hearing from you more on this topic. Thank you so very much for that. Over to Mr. Jitu. Mr. Jitu is a CFO of Vivarthana Ventures India Private Limited, and he is here to speak on the topic financial literacy for future entrepreneurs. When we started, we actually thought of coming up with this particular webinar on this topic, and then when I was having a chat with Nazi and team Ariva, he said that this is something which we really want to know. I mean, how financially literate should we as entrepreneurs be? And then when I was having a chat with Jitu, he was saying, can I talk on these topics? Then I said, this is exactly what they are looking forward to. So I'm sure this topic is, this discussion is going to be really, really interesting. Mr. Jitu Koshi cleared his CA exams and became a qualified professional by 22. He secured his first post-qualification job in KPMG, Qatar, in the auditing team, and then moved on in a couple of years to Ooredoo. He has a certifications from Harvard and IIM Bangalore. He is a qualified project management professional, a CIMA charter holder, and a PGDBA holder from Symbiosis University, Pune. As a CFO of Vivarthana, he played a pivotal role in school construction project in Chennai. Today, the school is providing education to more than 300 students and constructed more than 55,000 square feet. He's also the founder, I just love this part, of the Phoenix cricket team, which plays in Division C of Qatar Cricket Association, and the past treasurer of the first overseas chapter of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Today, through his engaging sessions, social media interactions, he inspires what he calls the Phoenix community to rise from the ashes using education as a medium. Mr. Jitu, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Bindu, and thank you, KK, for that wonderful session to start the whole thing. So today, I'm quite excited talking to so many youngsters on financial literacy, which is such a critical component for entrepreneurship, not only for entrepreneurship, but for any person, who is there who doesn't deal with finance. You have to deal with money, you have to learn to manage money, right? So that is part of every single person's agenda. And I've seen that financial literacy is something which can go a long way in helping us reach a state of independence, whichever way we look at it. So today I'm gonna talk for 10 minutes about some few simple points which we can keep in mind when it comes to entrepreneurship. So I've basically split it into 3 parts. One is, before you start your entrepreneurship journey, what are the financial aspects you need to look at? After you start, which is in the first 6 to 9 months, what are the things you should look at? And I also have something which I call the things that could break your back. That is the third thing which I have in there. So under each of these points, I'll be covering certain sub points today, which will help you get a basic idea of the fundamentals. This can be a topic which we can discuss for like 6 or 8 hours as well. So to put it in 10 minutes, I'm just giving you the gist of it, and then we can always build on top of that. So the first point, before you start, as an entrepreneur, imagine that you're a 22-year-old, 20-year-old with a brilliant idea which you think is going to change the world, right? How are you going to approach this? So one of the first things you need to look at before you start is assess your present financial positions, right? So are your parents dependent on your income? Let's say KK said he basically started at 26. So for somebody like KK, one of the things he would have considered is my parents dependent on me? Are they having their income? Another thing you could look at is if you're having a family, let's say you're 30 or 32, is my family covered from a medical emergency point of view? Right, that's something else. The third thing could be, do you have some sort of an emergency fund with you, which will help you survive for a 6 or a 12-month period? Because what happens many times with ideas is, as KK said, that confirmation bias, right? So you get excited with your idea and you think that, we can suddenly make something out of it and make revenue. So don't do that. Always have that buffer in there, which basically gives you a bit of a flexibility or a cushion to carry on with your idea. What you're doing with an emergency fund is building a resilience, so that even if something goes wrong, there is a small failure, you are still able to survive as long as you have the food, clothing, and shelter, right? So that's the way you basically look at that. Then count only the money you have in your bank, net of your committed expenses. Don't count things like I'll make money from trading, I'll make money from something else you do. So that way you build dependency over dependency, and any of these dependencies fail, you are in trouble, right? So don't do that. Just look at the liquid funds you are having and look at that. The next point is also a very interesting point and a critical point, which is basically have an assessment of the capital risk you want to take, right? In terms of how much is the money maximum which you want to spend in your entrepreneurship journey, and if things go north, this is the cutoff point where you will move out. Many times I've seen people get stuck with their ideas for like 15 years. KK also touched upon that. 10 years, 15 years. It's not working, but still people just go at it. So always have that feel of what is your capital appetite, the loss appetite which you have, and once that, if at all that comes, just be willing to move out of that. Don't get me wrong with all of this. You don't need a huge capital if you start right and act as per your plan, right? You don't really need a big capital. These are all small things which you can do, but the mindset is very important, that these are the things which I need. Then another thing which I don't need to tell most of you guys are all in that journey, I feel already, which is don't buy things. Try to rent as much as possible. Our previous generations, we have seen, right? We spend on cars, we spend on house, but now things have changed. And we rent a lot of things. So it's not about how big an office you have. It's not about how well furnished that is. It's all about your product, your value proposition. How are you reaching to the customers? So those aspects matter more. So try to be on a smaller budget on things which are unnecessary, so that you can spend the money on the right things when the need comes, right? So that is that. And the last thing is in this point of assess your personal position is have a visibility of your monthly cash burn which is required. So have that tracker ready, like have that in mind. If you are doing your personal accounts, you would already know like what is my monthly expenditures, and it could vary depending on each person's type, right? So every evening I go out with friends for food, so there could be a certain cost which comes. I see Netflix, and so basically you have that feel for it, so that you know how you are going to tackle when the actual situation comes, and you have that cash in hand which is ready. So that was the first point before you start, which is to assess your personal situation. The second point, what I'll cover in this is preparing a business plan for your company. So this is also something very interesting and very much needed. When I say business plan, don't think of a very complicated Excel sheet. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about your entire thought process, wherever it is, in terms of how you're looking at things. What are the capital expenditures you can think of? What are the revenue items you could think of? What are going to be your product offerings? How long will it take for you to come into a profitability state. For you to go, what are the minimum expenses, which will come. So those sort of, just, it needn't be complete. Your business plan can be like your diary. Like I used to write diaries when I was young, like 6th standard, 7th standard. Every day I would come in the night and write diary. So your business plan, you don't need to write on a daily basis, but at least maybe on a quarterly basis, or at least, or even better if you do it on a monthly basis. Just have a look at that document. What did we say last month? Where are we now with all the learnings we got? How are we tweaking it, and how are we taking it forward? Because it is all about incremental innovation. As KK also pointed out, you have to look to your strengths and move from there, right? So wherever you are in that journey, I'm sure the Arivu team will sort of connect with this a lot, because a lot will be happening in their life as we speak. So that business plan document gives you version control. Okay, your V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Your V100 could be completely different from your V1. Doesn't matter, but you're tracking that journey. So a business plan would be a great thing to have right from the beginning. And the third thing I would say before you start is think about the legal structure, what you want to do. So in India, it's quite simple, right? You have proprietorship, you have partnership, you have LLP, which is limited liability partnership, LLC, limited liability company, and private limited company, right? These are all the options you have. Now, all of these have their own advantages and disadvantages. You would have learned in your business studies in 12th standard, and also in college. Some subjects would have covered this. So fundamentally, the way I look at it, proprietorship is the easiest, the most simplest, and company is the more complicated. When you look at fundraising, company is the best structure to have, and then the rest of it follows. Partnership comes from an olden era. LLP is the newer version. So the government has made some changes too. So LLP, I would say, is like the younger brother of a company. The company, you have all those complex structures, and government tried to make it a bit easier through the LLP structure. So you have to think of what is the structure you want. Tomorrow you may have investors coming in. Tomorrow you may have many things happening in your company from a structure point of view. So you'll have to really be smart about looking at this, because these are things investors will also look at. What was the vision of this team? Were they able to organize themselves well and structure themselves well in sort of moving through the stages? So I wouldn't say to start a company angle as such for any budding entrepreneur immediately, because that has a lot of compliances attached to it. You can probably start like as a proprietor, then LLP, that sort of a stage, into the company stage. As the things grow and as you figure out things, that is possible. Or else, if you're very sure, you could also look at a company. You can have lean structures in company as well. It's not that you can't, but it's just that you need to do your annual filing and stuff like that. So that's about the legal structures which you need to look at. So those are the 3 points which I wanted to cover in before you starting your company. Now let us move to after you start. So once you start, the first thing I will say to any of the young entrepreneurs is don't get into statutory compliance issues. This is a headache. If you get your act wrong and unnecessarily get into problems with tax authorities or GST and all of these things, it becomes a headache. So just understand the basic statutory requirements that are required for depending on whichever structure you're going to follow. Just read about it, make sure you note down the main points, have somebody supporting you. These are not the things you want to spend time on. As the founders of the company, you are looking at your product, you're looking at your customer, how can I make things easy? So your statutory compliances, you can probably give it to someone who's going to handle it for a small money for you. That person is expert in that, let them handle that, but make sure that you don't turn a blind eye on this. Many a times what happens, people just go on one angle. Once they reach a certain level and they look back, there are so many statutory issues which are there, and then they spend 2-3 years trying to sort these things out. So don't do that. So try to cover your statutory aspects, whether it is GST or TDS, or if it's company, the registrar of company sort of stuff. So all of that. Now, the second thing, which I'm sure any entrepreneur who is going to get into this is going to think of at some stage, and that is about fundraising and equity dilution. Right, that's something which is a common issue for any single person. Nobody is exempted. So you always think, am I diluting too much? Is my valuation correct? Am I raising enough funds? And it has long-term implications, right? Look at Zomato now. The founders have around 4 or 5% stake. So they've come from 100 to less than 5%, through a series of stuff which has happened. But by the way, that 5%, you know what it's worth. So let's not even go there. But the point here is, you have to have a clear idea on how you want to look at equity dilution and how you want to look at this stuff. So one of the formulas, if I just without looking at the business, or without looking at too many details, if somebody asks me, tell me in one word a formula you would use, I would say invest your own money first, get double that from your first set of friends or family, get double of what the first set gave you from your extended friends and family. Look for an angel investor who can carry you for a 1-year period. That is the fourth step, I would say. And then get your VC investment. Now, don't record this and show this anywhere outside. There could be so many experts who's going to come and kill me. But but I just want to tell you, this is the formula I would generally have. But you can work around depending upon if your product is maturing faster and you're getting revenue faster. You could maybe go more aggressive. If it's not going so good, you could move a bit defensive. But there's like a benchmark you can use. When it comes to your VC investment, some of the things that will happen is they will do a financial due diligence and they will do a legal due diligence on you, right? So that stage, you shouldn't be caught out. Like, it shouldn't be that when they come, you don't have any documents, you don't know where the expenditure is gone, you don't know where the capital is gone. So have that control right from the beginning, so that at that stage you are not caught out. Now, the third thing in this, which I would say, is to follow some good practices once you start your company. One of them could be co-founders agreement. You are 4 guys coming from, like Arvu team I'm talking about, like, you're coming from, let's say, a college background where you study together, you have a great friendship and all that. Business is different, right? Once you get into business, there could be things where, there'll be some debate, some discussion. So you always have a co-founders agreement with you, so that you define the key things, how it will be dealt with without subjectivity. So because once a problem comes now, that subjectivity comes into the whole thing. Try to have that thing ready. Just have a basic structure over there, so that you can go back and see that. Right? So that is your co-founders agreement. Then you look at term sheets and shareholders agreement. So if you're getting somebody into your business, have a term sheet with them, very clearly defining what are their rights, what are their responsibilities. Again, there is a lot of ambiguity. ഒത്തിരി ആൾക്കാർ ഈ ഓണ്ടർപ്രണർഷിപ്പ് തുടങ്ങി നമുക്ക് ഇതിനെ കുറിച്ച് അറിയാഞ്ഞിട്ട് ആരെങ്കിലും വരും, അവർ കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് finally they take over, so that's because your term sheet correct ആയിട്ടില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. So where our clarity is not there, the shareholder agreement is not clear, so the guy with the more power, they start pushing you around. Not to make that happen, pinne draft a good non-disclosure agreement, that because your idea and your execution and your method are all yours, right? You don't want that to be just going around everywhere. So have a clear non-disclosure agreement of what you're sharing with whom, and get them signed off on that, so that puts some sort of a legal framework into it. Nalamate karyam is your intellectual property rights. Idoru bhayangara critical point ആണ്. കാരണം ഇപ്പം എല്ലായിടത്തും സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പുകൾ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. So you want that IP rights to be with you. നമ്മുടെ company name ആയിക്കോട്ടെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ patent ആയിക്കോട്ടെ നമ്മുടെ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിന്റെ ഒരു trademark ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, it's better to have that with you. It is a bit of a hectic process, but still it's worth it. It's one time. അത് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ we know for sure that this is ours. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നമ്മുടെ സെയിം ഐഡിയ അതേപോലെ എക്സിക്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വേറെ എടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് പോയിട്ട് they would have filed the IPR, and you would be nowhere in the picture, like and they will say you are basically trying to mimic them, or it's very difficult to prove it in court otherwise. Once it's gone, it's gone. So our angle, it's better to cover that up. But I think I'm taking I just completed the 10 minutes, so I'm not gonna say too many more points. I think we'll go to the discussion session and I'll cover. So I'll just go to the last things, which is 2 points within things that could break your back. ഈ രണ്ട് ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് ഇപ്പം not only Arivuti, the entire people who are listening, I would say these two things just keep in mind so strong. One is cash flow management. The only thing that can really get you fully very fast into trouble is cash flows, right? If you are spending beyond means, if you are taking a loan and the interest percentage is going up and a lot of these things. So it's all about how you manage cash flow. Be as frugal as possible at the beginning. Try to manage your funds well. Give yourself longevity, like try to be resilient. Give yourself a chance to succeed. You will fail in entrepreneurship. There will be things which will go wrong, but give yourself a second chance, and that you can do by cash flow management. That is the first thing. Second thing is account for every single rupee. Bring in that financial discipline and review it periodically. That's the second thing, whether it's your business or your personal life. And this is for the entire audience. I'm saying, if you have financial discipline, you give yourself such a better chance of succeeding. So give yourself that chance of financial discipline. Know where your money is going. ഈ പലപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ ഓണ്ടർപ്രണർഷിപ്പിനെ കാണുന്നത് ഒരു കമ്പനി സ്ട്രക്ചറിൽ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങിയിട്ട് നമ്മളൊരു സ്റ്റാഫായിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അത് നമുക്ക് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യണം, ആ ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ വേണം, രാവിലെ ഓഫീസിൽ പോകണം. ഇതിനൊക്കെ ഒരു ബദലായിട്ട് എന്റർപ്രണർഷിപ്പിനെ കാണുന്ന ഒത്തിരി ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ആ ഒരു ഫ്രീഡം നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ഫിനാൻസിന്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചുമ്മാ പോയിട്ട് ഓരോന്നിനും സ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്തു. നിങ്ങൾ 4 പേരുണ്ട്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് തന്നെ അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും അറിയില്ല ആരെന്തിനാ സ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്തത്. എല്ലാവരും കുറെ കാശ് അങ്ങനെ ഇങ്ങനെ പോയി, റെസിപ്റ്റ് ഇല്ല, ഒന്നുമില്ല. സോ ദാറ്റ് ബിക്കംസ് എ ചാലഞ്ചിങ് തിങ്. അപ്പം ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ ഇസ് സംതിങ് you should always have in your business. അപ്പം ഇതാണ് to just summarize, as I said, അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് കുറെ പോയിന്റ്സ് വേറെ ഉണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ I just try to cover the main points. So before you start, assess your personal financial position, prepare a business plan, think about the legal structure you want. After you start, look at your statutory compliances, think carefully about fundraising and equity dilution, follow some good practices like co-founders agreement, term sheets. Things that could break your back is cash flow, and if you're not financially disciplined, that means you're not accounting for every single rupee. So thank you, Bindu, over to you.
Thank you. I really do not know whether I'll be able to comment much on, because a lot of technical terms were used in this, but they gave the general, idea of what has been presented. I would say it has given a kind of confidence to the future entrepreneurs here, because you were saying they don't need a big capital to start something big, only the mindset. So that is really interesting, and then that would give it's a really promising start for the future entrepreneurs. That's one thing. And the second thing you were saying about once you set an idea, or once you have that in mind that you want to become an entrepreneur, first thing is to see that everything in the family is right in place. Make sure that if something goes wrong, because once you set and give that in mind that entrepreneurship is what I'm going to be, is going to be my way forward, then every day you're bound to see surprises, as what KK was saying. So every day is really challenging. So it's like you need to be prepared every day, so that make sure that the family doesn't come into mind, and keep everything ready so that you're there to face the challenges. That is really interesting. And then we were saying about the formula which you were saying, which is really patented. Okay, Jitu patented. But again, you've shared it with them, and then I'm sure that they know when to invest. To invest their money, first of all, they'll have to save a lot of money, which is definitely a financial discipline which need to be taken care of right from the day they think that they're going to be entrepreneurs and things like that. And then when to go and ask for money from the family members, which is like they'll have to build trust. Family members should have the trust in giving the money to you. And then when you move on to the angel investors again, so trust, trust gradually build up on trust in every stage, and then which definitely comes from discipline in all ways, which is a basic need of an entrepreneur. And then VC, obviously, the point wherein they are turning to a VC. I mean, how equipped they should be in getting things done. So all these points, I'm sure that whoever is listening, to this webinar today, a lot of pointers to carry back home, and then whoever is planning, I'm sure that they'll be able to plan it out in a better way. The way you've covered before and after, I'm sure that they will put in their focus on the after things mostly. Obviously, before is also important, but then again, once you start it. And then you ended up with saying the ones which actually I would say push them down, or the being frugal, and as you rightly said, I know a couple of people who have chosen this particular career thinking that they can be at home doing things as per their but no, when you choose to be an entrepreneur, it is a work of 24/7. So that is something which all the entrepreneurs need to take care of, or keep that in mind moving forward. Thank you so very much for that beautiful talk on the topic, Jitu. Now may I invite our alumni team, Arivu Plus online learning platform, the partners, Muhammad Nasim, Shabjaz Becker, Muhammad Shifas, Shafin Muzammal, to speak on the entrepreneurial journey. Each would take about 5 minutes to share their thoughts. May I just introduce the team to you. Muhammad Nazim has worked in education sector as tutor for a while. Nazim holds his bachelor's degree in international business and finance from the University of West of Scotland through Indian School of Commerce, and is currently pursuing his ACCA. Sharjaz Becker holds a bachelor's degree in international business and finance from the University of West of Scotland through Indian School of Commerce, and is pursuing ACCA. With his prior experience working in marketing, Sharjaz handles the offline and online marketing campaigns of the platform. Muhammad Shifas holds a bachelor's degree in international business and finance from the University of West of Scotland through Indian School of Commerce, and is pursuing ACCA. He comes with experience working in finance sectors. Shafin Muzammal is a BCom graduate and has experience working in educational sector as a tutor. Let's start with Nazim.
Hi. Before starting, thank you, Jitu and KK, for the session. It was very informative. And thank you, our Bindu ma'am, for getting this opportunity. Okay. And myself, I'm Muhammad Nasim.
Nazim, may I interrupt? Nazim, may I interrupt? Yeah. You can actually address this bilingual. We have a lot of people from Kerala who have joined, so you can speak both in English and Malayalam, please, for the better understanding of the people. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm പഠിച്ചത് ISC-ലാണ് BA Honors എന്നുള്ള ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ബിസിനസ് ആൻഡ് ഫൈനാൻസ് എന്നുള്ള ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ ആണ് കഴിഞ്ഞത്. ഇപ്പൊ ACC ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ലാൻഡ് പേപ്പേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്, റിപ്പീറ്റ് പേപ്പേഴ്സ് പെൻഡിങ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തത് അറിവ് പ്ലസ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഒരു 1 year ബാക്ക് ആണ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ജനറൽ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് എന്നുള്ള ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ആണ്. ബേസിക്കലി 4 ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ് അറിവ് പ്ലസ് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. ആ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ബേസിലാണ് ഈ അറിവ് പ്ലസ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ BA Honors വെരി യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു. കാരണം ഒരു ഓണ്ടർപ്രനർ എന്ന നിലയിൽ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ടൈമിൽ സ്ട്രാറ്റജീസ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യുന്ന ടൈമിലാണെങ്കിലും അത് റൺ ചെയ്യുന്ന ടൈമിലാണെങ്കിലും കംപ്ലീറ്റ് കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും ഒരു ഗൈഡൻസ്, ഫസ്റ്റ് ഗൈഡൻസ് എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ സിലബസ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളത്. കാരണം ഒരു കോർപ്പറേറ്റ് എങ്ങനെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു നോർമൽ ബിസിനസ്, ഒരു സ്മോൾ ബിസിനസ് ആണെങ്കിലും അതെങ്ങനെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അതിന്റെ റണ്ണിങ് എങ്ങനെയാണ്, അതിന്റെ ടീം എങ്ങനെ മാനേജ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അതിലെ ലീഡർഷിപ്പ് എന്നുള്ളത്, അതിൽ ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ക്വാളിറ്റീസ് ആണ് വേണ്ടത്. അങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ അതെല്ലാം പഠിച്ചത് BA Honors എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ ഒരുപാട് യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പല കാര്യങ്ങളിലും പല പ്ലാനിങ് ടൈമിലാണെങ്കിലും പല ഡെസിഷൻ മേക്കിംഗ് ടൈമിലാണെങ്കിലും വെരി യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ തന്നെയാണ് ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ബിസിനസ് ആൻഡ് ഫിനാൻസ് എന്നുള്ളത്. ഇപ്പോഴും നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് ഡൗട്ട്സ് വരുന്ന ഫിനാൻസിന്റെ കാര്യത്തിലാണെങ്കിലും മാർക്കറ്റിംഗിന്റെ ഒക്കെ ഡൗട്ട്സ് വരുന്ന ടൈമിൽ നമ്മൾ റെഫർ ചെയ്യുന്ന സിലബസ് ഇപ്പോഴും നമ്മളെ സിലബസ് ആണ്. അതായത് നമ്മളെ ബിയാഹോണസിന്റെ സിലബസ് ആണ്, ബുക്സ് ആണ് റെഫർ ചെയ്യാറ് പല കാര്യങ്ങളും. അത്രയാണുള്ളത്.
Thank you, Nazim. Over to Shajaz.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Hi, Shajaz.
ഞാൻ ഷർജാസ്, മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് സെയിൽസ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ആണ് ഞാൻ അറിയപ്ലസിൽ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഈ ഒരു എന്റർപ്രണർ ജേർണിയിലേക്ക് ഞാൻ കയറിയ സമയത്ത് ആക്ച്വലി ഞാൻ സയൻസ് ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് സ്റ്റുഡൻ്റ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, എന്നെ ഈ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് എന്നുള്ള മേഖലയിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കുന്നത് ഈ ഒരു BA ഓണേഴ്സ് എന്നുള്ളൊരു കോഴ്സിലൂടെയാണ്. അപ്പം ഞാൻ ഈ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് എനിക്ക് ബാലൻസ് ഷീറ്റോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഒന്നും അറിയില്ലല്ലോ. ഈ ഒരു കോഴ്സ് കഴിഞ്ഞത് മുതലാണ് എനിക്ക് ബിസിനസ്സിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു ഓവർവ്യൂ കിട്ടുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പോൾ ചില ഒരു ബിസിനസ് ആകുമ്പോൾ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ചെയ്യണം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യണം എന്ന്, പക്ഷെ അത് എങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യണം എന്നുള്ളത് അറിയുന്നത് ഈ ഒരു കോഴ്സിലൂടെയാണ്. മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അത് നമ്മളെ ബിസിനസിന്റെ ഓർഗനൈസേഷന്റെ പൊസിഷനും അത് ആ മാർക്കറ്റിൽ നമ്മളെ ബിസിനസ് നമ്മളെ ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ ഏത് പൊസിഷനിലാണെന്നുള്ളത് അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യാനും അതനുസരിച്ച് ആ ഏത് സ്ട്രാറ്റജി യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം, മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഏതൊക്കെ സ്ട്രാറ്റജീസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം എന്നുള്ളതൊക്കെ ഈ ഒരു കോഴ്സിലൂടെയാണ് ഞാൻ പഠിക്കുന്നത്. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ ഒരു ISCയിലൂടെ തന്നെ ഒരു കണക്ഷൻസും ആ നെറ്റ്വർക്കിങ്ങും നല്ല രീതിയിൽ എനിക്ക് യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആയി. ഇറ്റ്സ് റിയലി വാല്യുബിൾ. പിന്നെ that's it.
Thank you, Shajaz. Shifas.
Yeah, my name is Shifas. ഞാൻ അറിയപ്ലസിൽ ഫിനാൻസ് ആണ് ഡീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളൊരു ഓരോ സ്റ്റെപ്പ് വെക്കുമ്പോഴും നമ്മളെ ഈ ഗ്രാജുവേഷൻ കൊണ്ട് വളരെയധികം ഉപയോഗം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പോൾ ജസ്റ്റ് ഇപ്പോൾ റവന്യൂ മോഡൽ എടുക്കുമ്പോഴും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ എങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പെൻസ് മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം, എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ബഡ്ജറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം, എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ നോക്കുമ്പോഴും അതൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ISCയിൽ നിന്ന് ഈ പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഈ കോഴ്സിന്റെ ഉപകാരം ഇപ്പോഴാണ് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത്. ഇവൻ നമുക്ക് ISC തരുന്ന വലിയ കണക്ഷൻ തന്നെ വളരെയധികം യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആണ്.
Okay. Shafin. Shafin, you'll have to unmute.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Shafin.
Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
Okay, my name is Shafin. Actually, ഞാനും ഒരു സയൻസ് ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട് സ്റ്റുഡൻ്റ് ആണ്, ഒരു BTech ഡ്രോപ്പ് ഔട്ട് ആണ്. ആക്ച്വലി BCom ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ് ആണ്. ബിസിനസ് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് കയറിയതുകൊണ്ട് മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ഫീൽഡിലോട്ട് കൺവേർട്ട് ആയതാണ്. ആൻഡ് എൻ്റെ 3 ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് നാസിം, ഷജാസ്, ഷിഫാസ്, ഒരു 3 പേരും ISC ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ്സ് ആണ്. ആൻഡ് അറിയപ്ലസിലെ ഞാൻ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് അക്കാഡമിക്സ് ആണ്. അതിലൂടെ തന്നെ നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഡിസൈഡ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴും, നമ്മൾ മീറ്റിംഗ്സ് വരുമ്പോഴും, നമ്മൾ ഓരോ ഡിസിഷൻ മേക്കിംഗ് വരുമ്പോഴും അവരുടെ ഫീൽഡിൽ അവർ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആ ഒരു സെക്ടറിൽ അവർ കാണിക്കുന്ന ഓരോ ഡിസിഷൻ മേക്കിങ്ങും കാര്യങ്ങളും അവരുടെ കോഴ്സസ് എത്രത്തോളം ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആണ്, അത് നമ്മളെ ടീമിനെ എത്രത്തോളം യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആവുന്നുണ്ട്, ഏതൊക്കെ രീതിയിലോട്ട് നമുക്കത് കൺവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആക്ച്വലി. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ്സ് ഇറ്റ്.
Okay, thank you, Shifaz. Now I request Nazim to give an overview on what Arivo Plus is all about and what you guys actually do there, in this platform. What is this all about?
Yeah, okay. Arivo Plus is a learning platform, a complete learning platform. That's almost all categories, even 10th students category. All categories learning platform. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ കൊളാബറേഷൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ കോഴ്സസ് ലിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അറൗണ്ട് ഒരു 25 കോഴ്സസ് നമ്മളിലുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അത് ഡിഫറെന്റ് കാറ്റഗറീസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇവൻ BTech സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനുള്ളതുണ്ട്, BCom സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്, 10th സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്, ഇവൻ ഒന്നും ഇതുവരെ ഒരു എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഒന്നും കിട്ടാത്തവരാണെങ്കിൽ പോലും അവർക്ക് 10th +2 എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു രീതിയിൽ എത്താൻ, അവർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ജോബിന് എത്തുന്ന രീതിയിൽ അത്രയും വരുന്ന കോഴ്സസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇവൻ ഡിഗ്രി പ്രോഗ്രാംസ് ഉണ്ട്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ആർട്സ് റിലേറ്റഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ഒരുപാട് കോഴ്സസ് ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ കാറ്റഗറിക്കും പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ലേണിംഗ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമാണ് ഇത്. നമ്മൾ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് കൊളാബറേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ്, അതായത് ബെസ്റ്റ് ഇൻ ക്ലാസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻസിനായിട്ടും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽസായിട്ടും കൊളാബറേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ആ കോഴ്സസ് നമ്മൾ അവൈലബിൾ ആക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് കറന്റ് നമ്മൾ ഈ 2021 ഫെബ്രുവരിയിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ജസ്റ്റ് ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്തത്. ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഫേസ് ആയിട്ട് 10th plus 1 plus 2 ട്യൂഷൻസ് ആണ് നമ്മൾ പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. വി ഹാവ് അറൌണ്ട് 500+ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉണ്ട്. കറന്റ് ഈ അക്കാഡമിക് ഇയറിൽ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അറൌണ്ട് 2000+ ഡൗൺലോഡ്സ് നമുക്ക് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ഒരു നമ്മൾ സ്കോളർഷിപ്പ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. സെക്കൻഡ് ഫേസിൽ നമ്മൾ സ്കോളർഷിപ്പ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യും. അതായത് പെർ സ്റ്റുഡന്റ് പെർ മന്ത് 1000 rupees. അതായത് 7th സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് മുതൽ 12th സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ഉള്ള സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് പെർ സ്റ്റുഡന്റ് പെർ മന്ത് 1000 rupees എന്നുള്ളൊരു സ്കോളർഷിപ്പ് നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് ഓറ സ്കോളർ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു സൊസൈറ്റി ആയിട്ട് കൊളാബറേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ്. പിന്നെ ലാസ്റ്റ് വീക്കിൽ നമ്മളൊരു 50 സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനുള്ള എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ എയ്ഡ് കൊടുത്തായിരുന്നു. അത് കൈറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കേരളത്തിൽ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു NGO ആണ്. അവരൊരു കൊളാബറേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് 50 സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന്, അത് കേരളത്തിലുള്ള പല ഏരിയയിലുള്ള ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് അനുഭവിക്കുന്ന പലർക്കായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു 50 സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് നമ്മൾ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ എയ്ഡും പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്തായിരുന്നു. അത് നമുക്ക് എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് കേരളത്തിന്റെ ലിറ്ററേസി ഏറ്റവും പ്രോപ്പർ ആയിട്ട് അവർക്ക് ഏറ്റവും അപ്സ്കില്ലിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളതും ഏറ്റവും പ്രൊഫഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കോഴ്സും അവർക്ക് പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യാം. അതായത് പാരലലി രണ്ടും. നമ്മുടെ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ഓൺലൈൻ ആണ്. ഈവൻ എക്സാംസും ഓൺലൈൻ ആയിട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ കോഴ്സസ് ഉള്ളത്. അതെന്താ വെച്ചാൽ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് പാരലൽ ആയിട്ട് ഇപ്പൊ അവരൊരു BCom ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കൂടെ അവർക്ക് അപ്സ്കില്ലിംഗ് ആയിട്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു പ്രൊഫഷണൽ കോഴ്സ് ചൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിലാണ് ഈ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം സെറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്.
Okay, how about the content? One of you can answer this. Yeah. Am I audible?
The content.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, content. We had around 26 teachers for the tuition. From the 10th plus 1 plus 2 tuitions, we had 26 teachers, and they were experienced teachers and graduated from B.Ed and MA teachers. And all the classes, all the contents are recorded sessions.
Okay.
So
nice.
the students, they can learn whenever at their convenience. അവർക്ക് എപ്പോഴാണോ ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്, അവർക്ക് എപ്പോഴാണോ പഠിക്കുന്ന ടൈം, ആ ടൈമിൽ ഈ കണ്ടന്റ് അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്. അവർക്ക് കംപ്ലീറ്റ് റെക്കോർഡ് ആയിട്ട് അപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ത്രൂ ആണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ കണ്ടന്റ് അവർക്ക് പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. They will be having notes in there, unit tests are there, FAQs are there, and the students can ask the question at any time. We have 6 teachers on the back end, and they will be answering the question at any time.
Good. Okay, so that is quite interesting, and all the very best. Of luck for Team Arrival. Now, I presume that you have a couple of questions to Jitu and Krishna Kumar. You can ask maybe one question each to both. So I would say maximum can be only 8 questions from the team. So you can start.
Yeah, the question is.
To whom is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Concerned while starting and running a business, running a startup, and while planning its future. What all things are to be concerned?
I think you'll have to repeat the question once again. We missed you in between.
Yeah.
Okay. What all things are to be concerned while running a startup and planning its future?
Okay. So that's a pretty broad question. I'll try to answer that. See, first of all, entrepreneurs get into something when an idea strikes them, or they're inspired by an idea which can actually possibly work well. So sometimes entrepreneurs go behind an idea, the beauty of the idea and the whole imagination of it working well, really motivating. Right? The second thing is, of course, there are people who find the revenue potential of the idea like very exciting. Right? It can make a lot of money, so that becomes an exciting thing. Third thing is like when an idea comes in, there are certain kind of people who will come together for that idea, and that team is exciting, right, to work with. Right? So for every entrepreneur, the motivation of doing a business or starting a venture is not all the same. Right? It can't be the same. So everyone will have a different reason to start the venture. Money is only a byproduct of it. The opportunity, the environment that we are going to working on, your skills which can actually help to build the venture, right? And ultimately the happiness of executing something amazing, right? Having said that, if you can, what I've seen is most of the ideas don't even survive for 3 months. Right now, because you don't get excited, going forward. Ideas can be initially exciting, but after that, you lose that interest. Some ideas grow in you, right? Initially, it might not be exciting, but over a period of time, every day you learn about it, you feel more and more attached to the idea, you grow that idea. I think the only thing which an entrepreneur need to have at all times, especially in the beginning, is a lot of self-awareness about what you're getting into, what you want to do on a daily basis. Is it for the opportunity or is it more than the opportunity, right? So if it is more than the opportunity, you will be ready for any kind of struggles, right? If it is just for the opportunity, the struggles will not, it would probably discourage you in something, right? I don't know if I answered or any kind of question, but since your question is a little broad, right? The first thing which is to find a compelling idea which will keep you awake all the time. When I say, I mean, not sleepless, it's like keep you awake, keep you alive all the time. And you work on it, you learn about it, and most importantly, you're ready to do a little bit of sacrifice for making that idea happen. If you always feel, hey, I've done so many things, it's not working, I'm counting every activity I've done, I am, accounting all the efforts, then that's not compelling for it. That means you are clearly on an employment mode, right? In employment, you account everything, all the efforts and everything. In an entrepreneurship, you can't do that. The efforts can't be, calculated at the initial stage, right? The third thing is like, what skills of you as an entrepreneur you are bringing to the game, right? Sometimes some entrepreneurs are really good in finance. Some entrepreneurs are good in marketing. Some entrepreneurs are good in technology. So what is your core competence? So some of the technology entrepreneurs will shake hands with creative marketing entrepreneurs so that the combination can really work well, right? For example, the company like Smule happened because a musician and a programmer came together. Similarly, there are two different kinds of people coming together and bringing in their specialized knowledge together will automatically come up with a new product in itself. So do you have a team? Do you have a co-founder? Or is it going to be a solo entrepreneur? There is no problem in being a solo entrepreneur. Okay, so you can, there are so many people who are coming in the solo way because they cannot either find a partner or a co-founder or a team. So they, do it on their own. So what you want is something which you need to define and ideate and then come with, possibilities. Like, first of all, what are you willing to, take the most efforts for? What are you willing to take that pain for? Is it worth taking that pain for? Right? So always calculate the pain 10x than what you calculated in the initial stage. So then you know what is the threshold of pain you're ready to kind of, sacrifice for this, and that too for a specific period of time. So the pain cannot be forever. I mean, that's a painful life. So instead, you have to say like, okay, next 6 months, I'm going to be really intense on this, and I would want, this to work at this level so that, I can take it to the next level. If it is not working, then there is a problem with the model. So you have to really look at tweaking the model. You have to find out minor changes to be done in the model. To do minor changes in yourself. Like most of the people are talking about business model, but you forget about yourself in the game, because all these new businesses are all about yourself, not the model, not the opportunity, not the market, not the customer, right? It's about how you as a person is putting your thing into it, right? So it's all about your contribution. It's a lot about you actually as an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is about the entrepreneur, not the business or opportunity or anything. So if you as a person is building that strength to become an entrepreneur, I'm sure, now investors don't bet on business models. 80% of the businesses get investment because the investors believe in the entrepreneur, not the pitch deck, not the business model, not the opportunity, right? So invest in yourself, build yourself so that you become an attractive asset for the business itself. Right? So I hope, I don't know whether I answered your question. but these are some thoughts which come into my mind, when you ask this.
Yeah, Nazim, one thing I would like to say, trying to become most attractive asset, that is something which is really interesting. Yeah, Nazim, your next question. Shifas, you've got any question?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. How to analyze the financial
Your question is to
wealth?
whom?
CFO.
Okay.
How to analyze our financial wealth?
Right. Okay, so I think at the initial stages, as I said, it's all about looking at the cash flows. So I think that is where you need to focus on where is the money coming, how much money do we have, and where are we spending it? Are we spending it on the most critical areas? That's for me, the most important thing as we start. As we build further, getting into the next step and the third step, you start building up the right processes, which sort of help you to tackle everything. So when you look at your financials, if you look at cash flow, and if you look at your cost to serve, for example, if in your sort of a case, how is it coming? What is the cost you are having to serve a customer? What is the revenue you are getting from that customer? So the per unit, business modeling becomes a critical factor. But right at the beginning, what will happen is these numbers will be very big because you don't have enough customers. So then that thought process comes in as well as to when will we break even. Right. So you look at Zomato again now, so they were in loss all the way, but they have a certain, numbers which is working towards profitability. So why did all the people invest in this now? Why was the IPO oversubscribed? Not because the numbers already had something there, but the numbers are going to get better. So a lot of technology startups, this happens, where we'll have to initially put in, because it's also about platform thinking, right? If you look at technology startup, you need to also look at it like platforms. Like you're getting suppliers in, and you're also getting consumers in. You're enabling that network transaction to happen, and in that whole process, you may have to discount people or give an incentive for people to come in. So there, if you say that no, my cost is 10, I will only sell at 12, it will not work in that sort of a setting. So you'll have to make the network effect happen, let them enjoy that experience, and let them do that more naturally. And slowly you will come. So I think from an analysis point of view, these are some of the angles which you should look at. One is the cash flow, second is the business metric, the key business metric that is driving your business, and how you look at that.
Thank you. Yeah, Sharjaz, you have any question?
Yeah, madam. I would like to ask KK about marketing, how to tackle the marketing in this era, and what to do if we failed our strategies.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the new world, marketing is all about simplifying, right? Because each product has got if you really look at an app product, the founder or the CTO will try to, talk a lot about the product, right? The features and benefits and the backend and the technology used and everything. But ultimately, what we are doing is that we are complicating the whole idea, right? And the end customer, the person who is going to pay for you, is not able to understand what you're trying to do, right? If you're not able to tell that idea in 10 seconds, if you're not able to tell that idea in one line, then there is either a problem with the way you're saying about the idea, or there is a problem with the idea itself. So what I've seen in Indian marketing scenario is the B2B campaigns are very bad, whereas the B2C campaigns are very compelling, very emotional, very attractive. You look at a company website, you don't understand what they're doing. Like, you spend 5-10 minutes in the website, you have no idea what they're doing. Whereas you go to the websites in the US, they try to make the whole product as simple as possible, right? I'll give you an example for that. So recently we were working with a neobank. A neobank is a bank with no physical branches. And in India, the campaigns were on. They started with a lot of revolutionizing banking, digitalizing banking and all of those stuff. I mean, nobody understood what is digitalizing banking. It's already there. What is new about it, right? So there was one idea which came up, which actually got 42,000 signups in one day. The idea is very simple. It's like this. It's for a US-based neobank. It just said in the website, start your personal bank account wherever you are with zero in the US. Start the personal bank account in the US wherever you are with zero balance. That's it. There is no big story about new banking, revolutionizing, digitalizing, disrupting, nothing. So customers only want very simple, very clear, one line, single value propositions, right? So why I'm sharing this idea is that marketing is all about that. And if you have that marketing mindset to simplify, then you're winning the game. If you have a marketing mindset to kind of impress, you're going to fail, right? But if you want to simplify it, you're going to win. One more example, like this is a very famous example. The reason I want to share with you is that when iPod was released, they just said 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yeah.
They never said, 25 GB, all those features. They said 1,000 songs in your pocket. So try to find out that sweet spot of your product or service. And I mean, it requires a little bit of work. It is not going to happen in one day. You have to write. It's like iterating, and finally will arrive at one single, single value proposition, which is going to get you customers and work for that. It's not going to happen in one day, 1 week or 1 month. It can take maybe 3 months, but that's worth it. You're going to crack it like that. Till then, confusion, right? So marketing is about simplifying your message, getting that single value proposition. Even in a lift, what I call elevator pitch, even in an elevator, if you can talk about what your product is in 10 seconds, your product has got a potential. That's what I want to share with you.
Thank you. Nowadays people used to say, show them what is in it and not what is it you've got. So what is in it for them matters a lot. And current day marketing, and I always say that instead of convincing, it is always better to persuade people so that when they make the right choice, it is they who have made the choice and not that we have instigated them to make the choice. Beautifully put across. And now, Shafin, you have any question?
Yes, ma'am. My question is again to Mr. Krishna Kumar, sir. Sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, as a CEO of an HR consulting firm, which all will be the most demanding qualification which organization looking for in the future?
Okay. See, skills, there are different kinds of skills, of course, technology skills, behavioral skills, management skills. So can you specify like what you're looking at? Then I can be a little more clear on that.
Like when we are looking for in the future, what are the main qualifications of the skills which we need to focus on our business? Right?
The academic.
I'd always say, yeah. So the other day I was talking to Jitu and I said, if you can learn spreadsheets and storytelling, you're already successful. Okay. So everywhere in every organization, data is important. We call drama. The story is also important, right? So data and drama is very important. Now, having said that, on a lighter note, any effort to to know the numbers, right? You don't have to be a mathematician to know the numbers. We're talking about arithmetic. Mathematics is different, arithmetics is different, right? Be it, basic statistics, be it probability, be it, ratio, be it percentages, right? Visualizing data, relating data points with other things, using data as a storytelling mechanism, right? All these basic skills itself will help you, right? I'm not talking about data science or AI or anything. I mean, that's a different discussion altogether. I'm talking about very basic things, right? Now, these things itself will help you a lot. And for that, you don't have to go and do a big course. Instead, what you have to do is to use your own daily life scenarios, convert it into these things, right? Try working on those things, right? For example, the other day, I was talking to the CEO, and he's raising money for his venture, his third venture. So I asked him, like, how are you able to do this, right? Over a period of 8 years, his third venture is also raising money. He said, KK, what I learned, 6 years back from my first investor was that it's all about data and story. He said, I'm not done anything else. I've just organized data well, presented it in, and of course he's an expert in Excel, right? I mean, you might find Excel as a very basic tool, but let me challenge you. 95% of the people who are using Excel only know less than 10% features of Excel. So if you know 20%, you are on the top of the world, right? So I'm not even talking about 50% of the features. So Jitu will agree with me on that. 95% of Excel users in the world do not even know, 10% of the features. So that means there is a huge opportunity with one tool, right? The second thing, of course, how do you share the story to people, right? So it could be through communication, and I'm sure you need to learn grammar. English is a universal language, so you cannot ignore that. You have to. It's a lifelong mission to learn that language. Okay, it's not, okay, 10th standard English, okay, I mean, or nothing. It's a lifelong mission to learn, refine, go and do that thing. So lifelong learning is going to be part of any such entrepreneurial ventures, or be it for on-demand employment. And here there is one more idea I want to share with you. There are so many platforms which are available for you to learn these skills in a very short period of time. If I had the presentation, I had one slide only for this, but let me share one idea from the slide. It's like this. I'll just look at it and share with you. It's very interesting also because it says the time needed to start building new skills, okay, on certain areas. There are 3 areas actually. One is like people, culture, writing, sales, and marketing skills is now 1 or 2 months. When I'm talking about in 2 months, you can develop skills when you are intense to do it. I mean, you can't do anything else. You have to be very into it. It is 2 months. Product development, data, AI skills is like 2 to 3 months. I'm talking about basic introduction and understanding of those things so that you will develop an appetite, right? So why I'm saying 2 to 3 months is because in 2 to 3 months you will develop an appetite whether this is for me. Is it tasting good for me? Is it tasting bitter or better, right? So that's the idea. So in 4 to 5 months you can develop cloud computing and engineering skills. When I'm saying engineering skills, mostly development skills like coding and Python or things like that. If you have the appetite, right? If you have the real kind of ears with. Most of the time what I've seen is like it all depends on the circle of people you're dealing with. What are their interests will actually subconsciously influence you as well. So who are your friends? I can tell you what skills you're going to be ultimately learning. Who are the people who find inspiring? Who are the people whom you find as the real mentors in your life? Those are the same people who will influence your decisions, your judgment. So these are some ideas on that. So we as a consulting firm work on technology companies. We are mostly focused on the product companies now. These are very niche skills, so I don't think those niche skills would be relevant for this platform. Mostly we work more on analytics. Analytics is a huge skill. If you can come up, why analytics is a huge skill? Because all the internet companies are producing, TBs of data every month. Like so much of real-time data is being produced by e-commerce companies, or for that matter, on-demand companies. Or how do you make sense of this data? How do you take decisions for the users? How to come up with a new feature, new service? This is what all the internet companies are facing. They want that. So the people who are analyzing this data, using various tools, like Jitu might be knowing, it's like Tableau or Power BI, to visualize those data, work with the leadership to see what are the decisions which you can take at this point in time, convert those things into stories. So it's I'll tell you, most of the internet companies are running primarily on data and story. And of course, not undermining the fact that the product development and all those things, but this is how it is done, right? So any effort to build skills on those will help you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Great, that was really interesting when you said that we consider Excel as a drawing board, we create it and then keep on building it, and then whenever we need any kind of data, it can be. And when you said that only 10% of it is known to us, it's really 90% to go, and then how all can we really achieve it, particularly the entrepreneurs, it matters a lot. And about the storytelling part, which you were mentioning, has become a Marcom, being a Marcom person myself, I believe that storytelling is the important factor of any kind of selling, be it of any value. I request Jitu to add on to what KK was sharing his views on, please.
Right. So I think if you look at the skill sets that's going forward, especially if I'm coming from, let's say, a finance domain, is your ability to read and interpret, as KK rightly put it. How do you convert complex data into simple stories? If you can convert something that is worth for 3 hours into 10 seconds, that's how things are. People's attention span is reducing, and there are so many options out there. So how do you hook somebody into the whole thing? So I think for the new age entrepreneurs or the young brigade, a lot of side hustles can be picked up. I think that getting the skills, let's say simple things like digital marketing, working with the digital marketing agency for some time, creative media, video editing, so some of these things which can add up and come in quite handy for you at later stages once you are onto bigger things. Microsoft tools, absolutely. Power BI, as KK mentioned. So some of these things which are happening in the world, and again, what's happening is earlier when something used to get introduced 10 or 15 years, once in 10 or 15 years, now things are getting introduced once in 1 or 2 years. So you have to look at what are the new things happening. Look at a platform like Clubhouse now. It just came and it took everybody by storm. So a lot of things happening. So you stay connected, and once you're connected with a certain thought process, all of them build on top of it. People have been talking AI and data analytics and blockchain and all for a long time, but now you're seeing slowly things are moving. So it may be a bit too early to read about some things. It doesn't matter. It may not have an immediate application. It doesn't matter. These ideas are going to stay, and they're going to build on top of it. So the far quicker you connect to them, the better you are at making use of them. Robotic process automation, data mining. So at least understand what these things are. Look at people who are actually working on something. Like in India, if you see now, there are a lot of people who are actually actively working on, let's say, crypto or a blockchain technology. You could connect with some of them, ask them actually what are you doing. Like we hear big jargons on these things, so but we don't really understand. So what exactly morning till evening, what do you do? Like, and what tool do you use? Which software are you using? So stuff like that. I think that's the way to go. Unfortunately, there's no one thing or a one course, or something like that, which can help us lead the next 40 years. I don't think that era is probably gone. Now it's a lot of 10, 20, 50, 30, a lot of things which you need to connect together and get moving. So navigation is critical. Believing in yourself is critical, and picking up one skill one by one is very critical. That's what I feel.
Thank you. One more thing I just want to say is that about networking, what Keiko was saying, it's very important. Even when we go to a LinkedIn and we are trying to connect with a new person, be it from the same segment, but then again, we would find that we have a lot of mutual friends, which says that same feather flocks together. It's like, when we try to connect with the people, same mindset, or rather who would share your same thought process, adds a lot of value to the future entrepreneurs. Now, Aribo team, you have any more questions? Is there any questions? Nazim? Hello?
I think Shefin may have some questions.
Shafin, you have a question? Yes, please.
I have a question to Jitu sir. Sir? Hello?
Sure, Shafin, go ahead. Yeah.
Sir, I just want to know that how to keep up with the industry updates.
Right. So that's a very interesting question, and something that is so essential, especially in our industries, like how things are moving. I think the best way to do this is to track the leading companies through, let's say, follow them, through LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever they are active. Just follow them. So let's say you want to learn about investment banking or IPOs or mergers that's happening. Follow Ashwath Damodaran, for valuation. Follow JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all of these guys, because they'll always keep talking to you about something that's going to happen 5-7 years from now, and they'll be running conferences, they'll be doing stuff, they'll be talking about it quite a bit. So it's all about just reading. In my younger times, my dad used to tell me, like, read Economic Times, just to be aware of what is happening in the business. So now these companies are all accessible. In that time, this was not there. So we would have to depend on Economic Times and JP Morgan. Some data about that comes there, we will know, right? They did a conference or something, we would know. But now these companies are directly coming to you. So it's all about picking your area of interest, looking at the top 5 or 10 people or companies. It could be people as well, by the way. So people or companies who could really give that, and just following them, and remembering, talking about people versus company, just remembering some of the big companies, if you see, like let's say Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. These people, more than Apple, they have followers, so they used to have that. So you could also follow those people who are leading, especially if they are very some companies are like focused on everybody. Somebody has a leader, and some companies have a leader and they go, right? So if there are characters like that, you could even follow them, and you would be up to date with what's happening in the industry. At the end of the day, industry is what? It's people doing something, right? It's somebody working on something, somebody doing some research, somebody talking about something. So if we break it down into very simple thought process, we will start to connect with it easier than looking at it like from far. That's what I feel.
Okay.
Thank you. So any more questions, Team Ariba? Method. So speakers, you have any questions to the entrepreneurs? KK, Jitu, any questions to them?
And I don't have any question, but I wish them all the best for their venture, right?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting because I think Jitu and I am also very passionate about the education thing, and we have been discussing on how the new kind of education can actually help people, because we are living in a world where internet is like a massive university and YouTube is the biggest edtech company, which I believe. So, so any effort on, using those resources and organizing cohorts and, helping people to learn better, build skills. So I wish the team all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I have questions from the audience. They have two questions. I've just picked two questions. But then again, for the first question, which I was supposed to ask Jitu, you've already answered. It is about the VUCA world and how do you manage a skill gap and things like that. So if you have more to add on, you can do that. And the second question is, what time do you start and finish your work, and how many hours a day do you spend on professional and personal growth?
Right. So that's a very interesting question. I think I've been quite bold in how I've handled my time. I believe time is the biggest asset we have in our life, and it's all about time management. I see the entire thing as a time management thing. So if I look at it, I can just give you the journey, so you sort of understand, where I'm coming from. So if I look at it, let's say in my CA days, it was just about clearing CA. So I gave away everything, made sure that I study so hard that I clear everything in the first attempt and I move forward. So morning tuitions, then classes, then tuitions, then sleeping, then tuitions, then classes, then tuitions. So that was the way. After CA, after qualifying, I said I need to now spend time on two things when I was 22 to 24. So that was basically upskilling myself on the profession side, and then leadership and communication. So I joined Toastmasters at that time, and also started speaking in forums, etc. Took every opportunity, and then I joined KPMG, and then worked really hard. That was the time when I worked most in office, 12-13 hours. So I wanted to gain as much skill as possible in that time. Then my marriage came, then I moved on, and I wanted to move out of that sort of a culture. I wanted to get into a bit of family life as well. So I moved into Ooredoo. Then from there, my child came, so I came to India. So now, for the last couple of years, what I've done is, I've spent maybe 100, 120 hours in office. Another a week I'm talking about, and another a month I'm talking about, and another, let's say 60, 70 hours on my passion, on things I want to do, education. So you can see the website phoenixjitu.com. So that's basically me trying to give back to the society, and then spending a lot of time with my child as well. So I basically attained the financial independence that I need to work less by the time I was 29. So that's how I managed. And now with the child getting to 3-4 years, I'm gonna get even busier in office again. So I'm gonna go back to a 160, 180 hour office schedule, and a bit of time on giving back to the society as well. So I balance it like that. I give priority. I feel that the priorities will keep changing every 2-3 years. Something new will come. Your parents may need you, and I like to fulfill all of those things. I'm not somebody who is like having a very rigid structure to how I want to do it. And the entire thing about this is finance in terms of your independence. Can you afford to do that? There are people, we get into this rat race, right? You sort of have to work for 40, 50, 60 years and still you're not able to figure out. So I don't believe in that. I believe in living in the moment. I believe in doing what is a priority right now and doing that, but at the same time having an overall vision and a structure where you build it up and rebalancing things. So that's my way of time management.
Thank you. A perfect example of, I would say, delayed gratification, disciplined, organized life, and then enjoy what is supposed to be enjoyed at the right time. So a great, I would say, a piece of advice to the future entrepreneurs out there. And for KK, I've got two questions. One is like finance goes real time. Self-service will become the norm moving forward. So the periodic reporting will no longer drive operations and decisions. So what changes will these bring in the chain of command, being a chairperson, and will people be uneasy, about this? That is the first question.
Okay, interesting. One of the things which happening right now is like the world is moving to remote work, and completely most of the industries have adopted the remote work, and this is now posing a new challenge of virtual collaboration, right? So for humans, and I think we have been habituated to work with people around us, talking to them, having a water cooler moment and have a conversation. I mean, sometimes even gossips help to build a story about the company, right? So we're all missing that big deal of human interaction. And most of the decisions, most of the judgment of leadership used to happen when they see people, meet people accidentally. So there used to be a term earlier, it's called pre-planned accident meetings, wherein you go to a conference and then hit people and then say, hey, how are you, and all those things. And then you pick up things and then you connect with them later. But now everything needs to be planned, because every call has to be planned. Everything has to be scheduled, right, to make things happen. So that schedule has become more important at this point, right? Everything has to be scheduled. There is no accidental pleasant surprises which you can wait because you're at home, right? That is where I think the second thing comes in, that we need to start sharing more content. Like, for the last 1.5 years, I've been sharing more content because that's the only way to connect with people, be on top of the mind, interact with them, have a quick message. If you really ask me, I'm going to share a secret here. Jiddu and I met because of that serendipity on LinkedIn, right? And I really liked his story, the way he positioned himself. So we connected, and here we are, right? So possibilities happen when we take that effort to schedule, take that effort to collaborate intentionally, not through a bit of chance. There is a chance factor, but you have to take that effort, right? So I don't know whether I answered that question, but my point is virtual collaboration is a new way of working, right? The culture of I've been working for 15 years, so I know the habits have not really gone, but the new people have picked up those habits, becoming more agile during remote collaboration. So and of course writing has become more important now, because the only way we can speak to 100 people when we are not speaking like this is through writing, right? So the other day I was reading something about copywriting, wherein everyone needs to become a copywriter. That means you're going to be writing all your life, right? One paragraph, one essay, one article, it's going to be part of it, where that writing is going to talk to 100 people, right? Where even when you're sleeping, what you've written is going to speak to 100 people, right? So it's like the Citibank says, like the city never sleeps and content never sleeps. It is working for you. So, a new set of habits can help. Yeah.
Very true. In fact, if you remember, we too connected through LinkedIn. So it's a very small world out there.
Absolutely. And to tell you a secret now, I'm just compiling the ideas which you've shared here as a LinkedIn post, and it will be posted in 10 minutes. I was just writing about it right now. When I was listening to you all. So things like that,
happens,
possibly can help. And maybe somebody who has not attended this program can also get some idea, or maybe they relate to it.
And the next thing about what he said is about writing. What I believe is that for me to write a paragraph, I need to work on 4 hours and then I write. It's like refer a lot of things. I, get into each and everything which, relates to this, and then try to give out the best. So, for the future entrepreneurs, I think that's one of the best thing, which you can.
But I have a point there. If you say that, nobody's going to write. So, I would say write, crap first. Like, you have to write the worst thing first.
Like a gibberish. You just come up with what you would like
just
to.
put it out there, and then work on it. So, in the book called James clear. I mean, it's the book called Atomic Habits. He says like, if you want to do something, write something, do it in 4 minutes, right? So that there is something out there, and then you feel, okay, I've done it.
And
I've done some 400
it,
words in 4 minutes, and you can work on it. So yeah, that will really help. Like, for example, somebody is
for the
not willing
newcomers,
to do the exercise. Like they say, do 1 plank. I mean, 10 planks, right? So if you can't do 25 planks, try 5 planks, and then you will get to the next one, right? So
that's really great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And one more question to you. I know that we were supposed to wrap it up by 1 o'clock, but we started 10 minutes late, but I'm going to take 5 more minutes, please. If you are to hand the reins of green pepper to someone, what are the traits you would be looking for in that person?
Okay, so first of all, someone who is passionate about the model. When I say passion, that's one of it. Like, I'm not saying the only passion will work help him to do it. Spotting on opportunities, like right point in time, and betting on it, right, based on some kind of calculated judgment, right? I mean, it's not just about somebody who sees failures personally will not work. Somebody who can see failure as a part of a journey can help, right? Because I've seen many people, working with me as well, who find failures as a very personal thing. I mean, it needn't be like that, because every project, every attempt to do something is a combination of various factors. And like the other day, I was talking about professional failure and unprofessional failure. It's very, very interesting, because professional failure, we will be able to explain it so well. And professional failure will be like, we'll be thinking, what happened? So if you can explain what happened, then it is a professional failure, right? So you have the data, you know the process, you know the market, you've done it, you've done the research, you've done everything, but still projects can fail. I mean, even Elon Musk is failing, right? That's a professional failure. Whereas we most of the time see unprofessional failures where you end up doing chaotic things and you're not able to even say what went wrong. So I would always say embrace professional failures. I mean, failures is anyway going to be part of everything you do. So, I mean, that kind of mindset can help.
That's nice. Okay, that's great. Okay, Team Arivu, Sharjaz, you know what?
Yeah,
how long will you persevere as a team?
that's an interesting question, ma'am.
Yeah.
Persevering means it's a major intangible asset for every partnership firm like us. I believe there is certain things that keep commitment to team.
Okay.
Things like new ideas or innovations, teamwork, communication, and celebrating small success like that.
Okay.
So I think as long as these things are within the team,
good to go, is it? I mean,
yeah, that much.
You're going to survive as long as you can. That's
worth it.
That's great. Okay. Nazi, what's your definition of a team?
A team.
Yeah.
Yes, in Ario Plus, we are having 4 departments: the financial, marketing, academics, and the general management. And the thing, we 4 departments are collectively working for a single goal. Even each department have different objectives, but our ultimate goal remains the same. And every department helps each other wherever they want. So a team should be running to a single direction with great cooperation.
Okay. Right. Even though, right. Next is to Shifas. Shifas, what makes Team Arivu special according to you?
We didn't have a communication gap between us. That's why.
Nice. Okay. You work as a team.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
We have good communication relationship.
Right. Okay. My last question is to Shafin. Shafin, what are the areas in which the team should be, upskilled according to you, or rather skilled or upskilled according to you? Yeah.
The skills, I believe that being an education-based company, proper communication skill is one of the most needed skill. And similarly, excellent management skill are the foundation of a team. And as the top team of the management of Ariplus, the 4 founders, we have to maintain the proper leadership quality. I believe that which helps to motivate and collect the best from the other team members.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, it's now time for the speakers to share a few points as a feedback, or what we can call it. Jitu.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Bindu, for this invitation. It was a great session. I also happened to learn a lot from all of you, KK, Sharjas, Nasim, Shifas, Shafin. It was a brilliant thing to share the platform with all of you. We all keep learning on a daily basis, right? And for me, my entire life mission is around contributing to others through the medium of education. So this 1.5 hours means a lot to me personally. If whatever I communicated a little bit, it added a value to anybody in this audience, that is what I look forward to. So that way, this is a brilliant setting, a brilliant arrangement. And what better to motivate your students than people who studied in the same place, who are doing a startup now. What better can there be a motivation for the new entrepreneurs that are coming up? So I think this was a brilliant idea, well executed, and I look forward to more such sessions. I genuinely feel that more entrepreneurs need to come. Everything is there, the setting is there, the money is there, the technology is there, everything is there. It's just, I would say, a bit of risk-taking ability, a bit of understanding of how the world economics and money works, how people think, thinking about them. So the other day, KK was telling me an example. If you want to learn sales, just pick up the phone, make 10 phone calls each day for 10 days. Right? So that is 100 phone calls, and try to sell something. Now, what happens is 90% of the time, or maybe even more than that, you would face failures or rejections, and that will teach you sales, in terms of how to look at things. So I think youngsters need to come forward, get into active learning. KK facilitates a lot of that. I try to do that. I have an evening session which is on a case study, financial modeling with ICAI. So don't look at your age, 6th standard, 8th standard, 10th standard. Go into some sort of a business venture. Try and do something there. Try and understand what people are doing. Start your own social platform. Do all of these things so that you connect with the world that's coming up. One job, you're not going to stay in that job for 40 years in the next generation. That is not going to happen. That time is gone. So we all need to add value. We all need to look at value creation. Yesterday, a person called me. I just want to share this story. Many people I mentor in that age group of 20 to 24, but this person was 25. He completed his BCom, he completed his MCom, he's doing his MBA. He's still unable to find his job. And I asked him, why should someone give you some money and recruit you? What are you giving? So he was a bit desperate, looking for the job and looking at stuff, and he didn't have an answer. So he was all the time until 25 reading books, sitting only in the classroom, and he was in that situation. So I told him, look, this is something we have to work on now, because you need to be employable. If you need to be employable, it's not just about clearing your exams and what is the value that you are adding to that business. So what are you bringing to the table? So I think the youngsters need to look at that very seriously and very carefully, because reality will hit strong, and when it does, we should be ready to face it. So anytime any of you in the audience as well, if you want to reach out to me, you can always do that. Just go to phoenixjitu.com, book a meeting. I am ready. I've dedicated 9 to 11 every day evening except Sunday for any meetings. For any unknown person can come to my website and book a meeting with me, and we can do that. So happy to help as many people as possible. Thank you so much.
That is really assuring, which we have more people like Jitu who are there to help people whenever they would like to. So thank you so very much for that, KK.
Oh yes, I think there is more to learn from Jitu for the entire audience, because he belongs to the new 20-something and very ambitious, very clear about what he wants to do, determined individual. So having said that, I think we have to keep the networking, relationship building open. So this session is just a beginning. So it's not a webinar and it closes like that. You leave the meeting, the story is over. No, it's not like that. So you should. So the way to connect with any one of us in this group would be to kind of be curious and kind of connect with them on LinkedIn. And also when you connect with one person, it's not just a LinkedIn connect, right? It's also about whom I am connected with, whom I am telling stories to, who is interacting with me. So you're getting a new world all open through digital connections in LinkedIn. So I mean, my request would be to go and connect as much as possible. And I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me as well. So you get what I'm doing, connect with me, connect with you. So it is mutual, right? So we are always open on connecting with people. Thanks.
Thank you. Team Aribu, one of you can represent. Hello? One of you can leave your feedback, Team Aribu? Nazi? Or Shafin? Or Shifas? Shabjas? Whoever is ready. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am. Hi.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, it was a very wonderful session, and we got a lot of things just to go forward, and we got a great connection, and we will definitely keep in touch. And we are hoping more entrepreneurs and more legends from IAC, and getting to meet all those from our colleagues, our batchmates, and all from IAC, and hoping more events from Bindu ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As KK, Jitu, and our team Aribu said, we started at 11:40, and then if you look at the time, it's 1:35. And this is what happens when people who would love to talk and interact on a topic, irrespective of prescripted topic, and the more to share, and then this hunger, or rather the thirst, it's there to share and get and all these things. This is I would say the result or outcome of people who are connected with the same mindset. So thank you all for joining us today. We hope the participants found the session informative and engaging, wherein the panelists have dealt with the topic in detail, covering almost all the major queries raised with their profound knowledge and industry experience. Thank you, Mr. Krishna Kumar and Mr. Jitu Koshi. Thank you, alumni, Mohammad Nazim, Shabjaz Beka, Mohammad Shifas, Shafin Muzammil, for sharing your insights and showing you more light on the path you have already traveled. Big thanks to the students and parents for joining us today. Wish you all a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.